This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, June 12th, 1940. Well, for June 12th, is a guy who was born June 12th, 1941, who's now 83 years old. And his last name is Ulfrichting. And all that. But this man used to be a broadcaster. He's the voice of basketball, as the Basketball Hall of Fame has inducted him. He was known as the voice of the Knicks for 37 years, and then worked on both NBA on NBC and NBA games on TNT as the lead play-by-play announcer. In addition to pro and college basketball, he called sports like the NFL, hockey, horse racing, boxing, and tennis. He called 8 Super Bowl play-by-plays, 9 NBA Finals, 7 Stanley Cup Finals, which is like unbelievable. He would do such a thing like that. He also did Wimbledon for TNT and was a reporter for the 86 and 88 World Series for NBC. Unfortunately, he didn't have a complete clean career, as he had a sexual assault trial and all that. But he hails from a family of broadcasters. He has 2 brothers, Al and Steve, and a son, Kenny, who are play-by-play sports announcers. Well, his name is Marv Albert. Marv was born to a Jewish family in Brooklyn. And as I said, he's 83 years old now. And his family members own a grocery store on Brighton Beach Avenue. He went to Syracuse's School of Public Communications from 1960 to 63, graduating from NYU in 1965. He actually was a ball boy for the New York Knicks and worked his first Knicks game while still in college in 1963 on WCBS Radio, who was filling in for Marty Glickman, who was doing stuff over in Europe. He did a lot of things and all that. But by 1967, and for 37 years till 2004, which was amazing, 37 years, and I've been on this planet for 39 years, Marv Albert served as the voice of the Knicks on radio and TV and all that. Unfortunately, he was let go by James Dolan, mostly due to a couple of factors. One was his high salary, and also the fact that he criticized the team on air. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good. But his son Kenny is a part-time play-by-play announcer for the Knicks since 2009, filling in whenever Mike Breen is unavailable, because Mike Breen is now the voice of the Knicks since 2004. Anyway, other than with the Knicks and all that, he was the lead play-by-play announcer for the NBA and NBC when NBC had basketball the NBA from 1990 to 2002. He would call every NBA Finals for the network, except for 98 to 2000 because of reasoning I have to talk about. But anyway, Albert would resume his time with NBC, and when NBC lost the basketball rights, he still was the lead play guy for the Knicks on MSG and called national games for TNT and all that. So he was the head guy for TNT as soon as 1999. And he had a primary commitment with TNT once NBC lost the broadcasting rights. Anyway, he would work TNT for a while. Of course, in basketball, he did a lot of duties. His most famous call was a simple yes for a basket. Many variations of volume and length during depending on the situation, like yes, 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 and all that. Anyway, he actually had a massive injury in a limo accident, having facial lacerations, a concussion, and a sprained ankle. He had to miss a lot of time with TNT, and came back for the conference semifinals. Marv Albert decided to retire from TNT following the 2021 NBA playoffs. And his last game was Game 6 of the 21 conference finals between the Bucks and Hawks. TNT did not have the NBA finals that year. So that was his last call. In fact, Marv Albert was the play-by-play man for the Nets franchise when the Yes Network had the Nets doing that. And contrary to popular belief, that is not. Well, the Yes Network is not named for Marv Albert. Yeah, it's like his famous call, Yes. But the fact of the matter is that YES was for Yankee Entertainment Sports. And all that. So, yeah. The Nets actually hired all three Albert brothers during the franchise's history. Al Albert started his broadcasting career with the Nets during the ABA days, and Steve had called games in the late 70s and 80s for the Nets. So now they had the third one, Marv Albert. So with the Nets struggling and all that, he was relegated to secondary play-by-play of the Nets and replaced by Ian Eagle. Marv would leave the Nets in 2011 to join CBS for NFL and NCAA tournament coverage. He was the play-by-play voice for NBA Live from 2003 to 2010 when this series basically ended. But it was amazing to hear the voice of Marv Albert calling matches when you're trying to play the crap out of your PS2 version of NBA Live 04. For 5 years, Marv Albert had broadcast the men's March Madness from 11 to 15. And that's when CBS headed off some of its coverage to Turner. Albert basically decided not to call NCAA games by 2016, mostly because calling 4 games in one day during the first round and 6 matches in 3 days in the first 2 rounds was too much for his voice to handle. So Marv Albert was primarily known for his basketball duties. I mean, after all, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. But not everything was basketball related. Outside basketball, you had the New York Rangers. In addition to the Knicks, Albert had a lengthy tenure calling games for another Madison Square Garden tenant, the New York Rangers. So beginning in 1965, he would start calling MSG games on TV and radio for the Rangers. Well, mostly radios. He handled the radio call of the Rangers' Game 7 victory in 1994 to win the Cup, which is a famous one in Rangers history. And the fact of the matter is he was lucky that the NBA Finals was not that day. Well, because, he would be calling the NBA Finals for NBC. I mean, yeah. He actually coined the nickname Red Light for his analyst, Sal Messina. His signature play-by-play phrase was kick, save, and a beauty. He was a good Rangers play-by-play announcer on the radio for 3 decades. However, he missed several games because of his other commitments, mostly with basketball and all that. Although Marv Albert was the main guy for the Rangers radio during that 1994 playoff run, he was not in the radio booth for Game 7 when Matteau scored that famous double overtime goal. That was Howie Rose. Because, he was doing basketball stuff. He would leave the Rangers after the 95 season. What made it worse was that Howie Rose would actually become play-by-play announcer of the Islanders for radio and TV. So fortunately for Marv, the apple didn't fall far from the tree, and Kenny Albert has replaced Marv as the radio voice of the Rangers and has stayed that way ever since. So he's almost had 3 decades himself. Kenny also does NHL games for TNT, if memory serves me right. Has been the national radio voice of the Cup final since 2016. Marv Albert would actually do New York Giants football games for 3 years in the 70s after Marty Glickman left to join the Jets stuff. Marv was the lead play-by-play voice of the Westwood One NFL coverage from 2002 to 2009, calling Monday Night Football, playoff games, and Super Bowls on the radio. He would be succeeded in that role by Kevin Harlan. Marv Albert would spend 3 years on CBS doing NFL on CBS stuff paired up with Rich Gannon. But Marv Albert stepped down from that to focus more on his basketball duties. He did do some play-by-play announcing for the NFL and was practically the number 2 play-by-play guy on NBC behind Dick Enberg. He would do college basketball games with Bucky Walters on Big East games, horse racing, boxing, including the 1988 Olympics when he commentated on both the Lennox Lewis and the Floyd Mayweather, not Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones Jr. fights and all that. If you watch those highlights from 1988 Olympics, you'll notice Marv Albert's voice. He would do the NHL All-Star Game for NBC once, well, from 1990 to 94. Yeah, he would do the All-Star Game. That NBC NHL All-Star Game in 1990 was actually the first time that a network TV carrier in the U.S. had carried any NHL coverage since the 1980 Stanley Cup Finals Game 6 on CBS. He would also do baseball, not just being a play-by-play guy, but being a studio host and all that. He was actually sports director of WNBC for 13 years. So he did all of that. Albert would make many guest appearances on David Letterman's late night talk show. He would actually bring with him a group of clips following sports bloopers and outstanding plays. Anyway, he's had a lot of awards. 5 times National Emmy Award for Sports, 3 times in the state of New York. He was the Cable Ace Award winner 6 times, the Kurt Gowdy Media Award in 1997, awarded by the Basketball Hall of Fame, which I believe is the equivalent to the, I would say, not Elmer Ferguson, the one with the Hockey Hall of Fame, you win that. The Foster Hewitt Award, you win that, you're in the Hall of Fame automatically. Unfortunately, though, Marv Albert has not been perfectly clean. He had a sexual assault case in 1997 against her. The woman accused Dean of Marv Albert of throwing her in her bed, biting her, and then forcing her to perform oral sex. Well, DNA testing linked all that. I don't know why Albert would bite someone for sex and all that. So unfortunately, there would be a lot of things going on. Marv Albert had some stuff to bring in his defense, but the judge blocked it. So they basically went with a plea deal. Albert would plead guilty to misdemeanor assault and battery charges, and a felony charge of sodomy was dropped. He was given a 12-month suspended sentence. And then after he served it, the conviction was stricken from the record and all that. So that was just huge. NBC would fire him hours after he entered his guilty plea. Bob Costas would be the main guy for NBA on NBC in '98, putting Tom Hammond up to number 2 on the play-by-play chart and all that. So basically, he got fired, but he served a couple years behind bars in a sense. NBC would rehire Albert after everything got cleared up. So, what a timeline. I mean, the NBA on NBC guy for many years, NBA on TNT for 19 years, being the lead play-by-play guy. Do you think he had a good career? Yes! Of course he did. Anyhow, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do